All right, welcome back, everyone. We're rise from closed session. We have no report this time. We did receive education and some training on our surplus farm dwelling severances in a closed session. I want to thank our planning for that. So minutes from the previous meeting. Any errors or omissions? Business arising? Seeing none, we need a motion to accept the minutes. Councillor Irwin, Councillor Daigle, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Public meeting. We're going, including a committee of adjustment. I'm sorry, committee of adjustment and drainage as well. The first item is application number MV03-2024, located at 131 Stewart Street. And I think Steve Layton is here if you want to come up to the table. I do need a motion to go into the public meeting. Councillor Daigle, Deputy Mayor Hodgins, all in favor? All right, thank you. Good evening. Okay, Abby, if you'd like to. Oh, I'm sorry, Ashley. I'm sorry about that. Sorry.
That's okay. So good afternoon, Chair Rupp and members of the committee. So the subject lands are located on the northwest corner of Stewart Street and George Street in Elsa Craig and have a municipal address of 131 Stewart Street. The lands are approximately 18,000 square feet in size with an existing two-story single detached dwelling. Currently, there are no accessory structures on the subject lands. The subject lands are designated as residential and within the urban settlement area of Elsa Craig under the North Middlesex official plan, and zoned as residential density 1 under the North Middlesex zoning bylaw. The owner is proposing to construct a 980 square foot detached garage that will front George Street for personal storage purposes, which is a permitted use under the existing zoning. The owner is, however, proposing an increased height for the accessory structure to maintain visual cohesiveness with the existing dwelling on the subject lands and to provide a sufficient height for personal storage purposes. The owner is proposing to meet all other zoning provisions, such as setbacks and lot coverage. As noted in my report, section 10.2H and 6.3.3A of the bylaw permit a maximum accessory structure height of 5.5 meters, or roughly 18 feet, whereas a maximum of 8 meters, or 26.25 feet, is proposed. This is a difference of 2.5 meters, or 8.19 feet. The bylaw also does measure height differently for dwellings opposed to accessory structures. So for dwellings, it's measured as the distance between the grade and the mean level, between the eaves and the ridge of the roof, whereas height for an accessory structure is simply measured from the grade to the roof peak. This means that comparing peak to peak, the accessory structure will be shorter and incidental or secondary to the main dwelling on the property. In terms of comments, ABCA, the County of Middlesex engineer, and the North Middlesex chief building official have noted no concerns with the requested relief. The North Middlesex Director of Infrastructure and Operations generally has no concerns and is recommending a condition that be included that an entrance permit for the proposed new driveway on George Street be issued by the municipality. No formal comments were submitted by the public prior to the submission of this report, and staff are satisfied that the 4 tests of the minor variance are met as outlined in the report, and we are recommending that the requested relief be granted with the condition that an entrance permit be obtained for the new driveway access.
Thanks, Ashley. Mr. Layton, anything you'd like to add at this time? No? Okay. There's no written submissions on this, so is there any comments from the public on this? Seeing none, comments from the committee? Questions, comments from the committee? Seeing none, we have a recommendation in front of us to grant this. Moved by Councillor Keogh, seconded by Councillor Irwin. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you. Our next item is notice of public meeting to consider application MV-04 2024, located at 32994 McGinnis Road. And I don't think we have anyone here for that. So Ashley, I'll turn that over to you again.
Perfect. Thank you. So the subject lands are located on the east side of McGinnis Road and south of Park Hill Drive with a municipal address of 32994 McGinnis Road. The subject lands are approximately 1.05 acres in size with an existing 2-story single detached dwelling that is approximately 9 meters or 29.53 feet in height. There's also an accessory structure, a Quonset hut, on the subject property that is approximately 6 meters in height, which works out to 19.69 feet. The subject lands are designated as agricultural under the North Middlesex official plan and zone general agricultural under the North Middlesex zoning bylaw. The owner is proposing to construct a 4,560 square foot accessory structure, which is a permitted use under the existing zoning. The owner is, however, proposing an increased maximum height and lot coverage to provide a sufficient height and square footage for the proposed storage purposes, and to be able to construct the new accessory structure while keeping the Quonset hut on the property. All other zoning provisions are proposed to be met, such as setbacks. As noted in my report, Section 6.3.3 of the bylaw permits the maximum lot coverage of 10%, whereas 12.77% is proposed. This is a difference of 2.77%, or approximately 1,266 square feet. The Section 7.3.2H of the bylaw permits a maximum height of 5.5 meters, which is approximately 18.06 feet, whereas a maximum of 8.54 meters, or 28 feet, is proposed. This is a difference of approximately 3.04 meters, or 9.4 feet. In terms of comments, ABCA, the County of Middlesex engineer, the CBO, and the Director of Infrastructure and Operations noted no concerns. No formal comments were submitted by the public prior to the submission of this report. And staff are satisfied that the requested height relief and lot coverage relief meets the 4 tests of the minor variance as outlined in the report, and we are recommending that the relief be approved.
Thank you. We have no written submissions on this, so any comments from public on this one? Seeing none, committee, any questions? Councillor Kern-Ellison.
I'm moving the recommendation.
Oh, you're moving the recommendation? I'm sorry. Seconded by Councillor Nerda. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Our next item is application MV 05-2024 for Sauble Bluffs medium density block. And I believe we have Connor Wilkes from Dillon coming in on Zoom for this. Oh, he's just observing? Okay, thank you. So go ahead once again, Ash.
This is an Abby file.
Yeah.
Whoever.
Thank
Go ahead,
you,
Ash.
Connor.
Yes, go ahead.
The purpose and effect of this application is to seek relief from the North Middlesex zoning bylaw in order to vary from the minimum interior side yard setback provisions of the residential density to exception holding zone to facilitate the construction of 22 townhomes. More specifically, the applicant is proposing a minimum interior side yard setback of 0.0 meters for interior units, whereas the bylaw requires 1.2 meters. The variance would apply to both the common wall between dwelling units as well as the covered porches, patios, or decks that they have proposed off the rear of the structures, as these are directly adjacent to the interior property lines, which is shown in my report. In terms of agency and public comments, there were none received prior to the preparation of my report. Staff have reviewed the application against the 4 tests of the minor variance and are of the opinion that it is considered to be minor in nature, is an appropriate use of the land, and meets the intent of the zoning bylaw and official plan. It is therefore my recommendation, Your Honor, that the application be granted. Thank you.
Thanks, Abby. And our applicant is just viewing, is that correct? Okay. Okay. Anything from the public on this? Seeing none? Council, questions? No questions on this? I just make a comment. I'm glad to see this moving on. We are looking for this type of housing in Ellis Craig. I know there's people waiting for it, so glad to see that. So we have a recommendation in front of us. Councillor Irwin, Deputy Mayor Hodgins, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Notice of public meeting, consider application B03-2024 located at 33534 Cassidy Road. Ashley.
Perfect. Thank you. So the purpose and effect of this application is to sever a surplus farm residence at 33534 Cassidy Road. The severed lands are proposed to have a frontage of 58.45 meters on Cassidy Road with a lot area of approximately 1 hectare or 2.47 acres. And the remnant retained lands are proposed to have a frontage of just over 1,000 meters along Cassidy Road with an area of approximately 100 acres. The severed lands contain a single detached dwelling and accessory structure with an existing access from Cassidy Road, and the retained lands are currently in crop production and contain a barn with no livestock. A new access for the retained lands will need to be established to the satisfaction of the Middlesex County engineer, which has been included as a recommended condition. The subject lands are designated as agricultural in the North Middlesex official plan and contain hazard lands and woodlands. The lands are zoned as general agricultural in the North Middlesex bylaw, and a portion of the lands are regulated by ABCA. ABCA, the County of Middlesex engineer, and North Middlesex chief building official generally have no concerns. Standard conditions have been included for the committee's consideration. The North Middlesex Director of Infrastructure and Operations has also recommended the inclusion of standard conditions of this nature, and no public comments were submitted prior to the submission of this report. Staff are satisfied that the residents may be deemed surplus to the needs of the farming operation and are satisfied that the criteria for the severance of a surplus farm resident on the land have been met or can be appropriately addressed with the recommended conditions in the report. I would like to note that the North Middlesex official plan requires the dwelling have been constructed prior to January 1st, 1999, whereas the county official plan that was recently updated in July of 2023 requires the dwelling have been constructed 10 years prior. As council is aware, the county recently updated their official plan, and there's language in the Planning Act that speaks to where the local official plan has not yet been updated to reflect an amended county official plan, that the county official plan prevails to the extent of the specific issue. So that is my report for that one, and I'm here if you have any questions.
Thank you, Ashley. I have to ask once again if there's any comments from public on this. Seeing none, committee questions. Councillor Knellison.
I would like to point out, or just ask for clarity, on the fourth paragraph on page 1, you make reference that this property is not serviced by municipal water or septic system, but the house would have its own septic system, would it not?
Yes, I'm just referring to the retained land.
Okay, so the report.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we have a recommendation in front to grant this application. Moved by Councillor Nerda, seconded by Councillor Daigle. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Our next one is a public meeting to consider application ZBA-04-2024 located at 273 Parkdale Main Street. And Denise Alton, I believe you're here this evening. You want to come forward? Yes. How are you this evening?
Hi. Is somebody presenting it, or do you want me to talk?
No, we'll let the planner bring her recommendation first.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Sorry, you've been a little.
They're doing that to me on purpose. They're switching off.
So the purpose and effect of application for zoning bylaw amendment for 2024 is to rezone the subject lands known municipally as 273 Park Hill Main Street from the central commercial C1 zone to the central commercial exception C1-4 zone within the North Middlesex zoning bylaw in order to permit a duplex in addition to all of the other uses permitted in the central commercial C1 zone. So the application proposes to rezone the subject lands from the C1 zone to the C1-4 zone to permit a duplex, given that section 16.1.2B of the North Middlesex zoning bylaw permits dwelling units in the rear of the main floor of a commercial building, provided that the dwelling units occupy no more than 50% of the main floor, whereas the applicant is proposing a full conversion of the existing structure to a duplex dwelling. So the subject lands are approximately 900 square meters in size and are serviced by municipal water and sanitary connection. The subject lands have existing access off of Emily Street, as well as a pedestrian access off of Park Hill Main. There's like a sidewalk. Yeah, and then so the official plan states that the urban settlement areas shall be the focus of future growth, shall have the highest concentration and intensity of land uses within the municipality, and all new development shall be fully serviced by municipal water and municipal sewage disposal systems. So the predominant use of land in the central area designation is multifunctional in nature and contains retail, office, entertainment, government, and residential uses. Central areas function as main streets that provide daily and weekly convenience and general retail and service needs for the municipality. So the official plan provides that residential uses that do not negatively impact the commercial focus of the area shall be permitted subject to the following criteria. The first being, in a building of commercial character, residential uses shall only be permitted above the ground floor. However, in a building of residential character, either single detached or multiple dwelling, residential or commercial uses shall be permitted provided the residential character of the building is maintained. So the PPS County Official Plan and North Middlesex Official Plan direct growth to be located within settlement areas on full municipal services and encourage redevelopment of existing buildings where appropriate. The subject lands are occupied by a single detached dwelling and are surrounded by single detached dwellings to the west and north with commercial uses to the south and east. The location and proposed use of the lands is appropriate given the existing structure on the property is of residential character. Essentially, it's a large single detached dwelling. Staff are of the opinion that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the PPS and is in conformity with the county and North Middlesex official plans, as the proposal will result in the redevelopment of an existing underutilized single detached dwelling within Park Hill and contribute to a diverse housing supply and the municipality's rental stock. In terms of agency circulation, the following comments were received. So the Asable Bayfield and the county engineer had no concerns. And then North Middlesex Drainage just noted that the property is assessed into the Cameron Gillis drain and that this proposed zoning bylaw amendment will not affect the assessment. In terms of public comments received, I received a written submission from Carrie Muma, who I believe is a neighbor to this property. And she is in agreement with the proposed rezoning to allow for a duplex dwelling at 273 Main Street in Park Hill due to a shortage of rental properties in Park Hill. So based on the foregoing, it is my recommendation that the subject application be approved. Thank you.
Thanks, Abby. Nisha, something you'd like to add?
Wow, incredible. Nothing. Thank you.
Okay.
Like just quickly, we did purchase it with the view to rent it as commercial property. I'm a realtor as well and had it on market for over a year. It just didn't happen. So we don't want to sell it. We want to keep it. We'd love to, get some kind of income to be able to support the purchase. Down the road, I think that when Park Hill has more, traffic counts and whatever, it's possible that that's why I want to keep it as commercial. Use it as a commercial, maybe a mixed usage, whatever, but for now.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So at this time, is there anyone public comments on this application? Seeing none, Councilor Nerda. You're making the motion to support. A seconder, Councilor Irwin. Any discussion on it? All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next is a public meeting to consider application ZBA-05 2024 located at 4486 Queen Street. And I think we have Krista Munn coming in on Zoom on this. Okay.
Hello,
Oh, can you hear us, Krista?
I can.
Okay. All right. Ashley.
Thank you. So the purpose and effect of this application is to renew the existing temporary use zoning bylaw at 4486 Queens Ave. The subject property to continue to allow non-intensive agricultural uses and equestrian use for an additional 3-year period. This temporary use currently exists on the rear portion of the property that is located outside of the settlement area, and the location is not proposed to change with this renewal. Additionally, no new buildings are proposed to accommodate this extension request. The lands are approximately 3.26 acres in size and have an existing single detached dwelling, a barn, a shed, a pool, and a stable. Of the 3.26 acres of the property, approximately 2.45 acres of the rear portion is outside of the settlement area, and that is the portion specifically subject to this temporary use extension. The portion of property that's subject to this extension is designated by the Middlesex County Official Plan as agricultural and the North Middlesex Official Plan as an urban reserve area. The urban reserve area permits for non-intensive agricultural uses, and additionally, the temporary use bylaws are permitted by the North Middlesex Official Plan to allow a use otherwise prohibited for a period of 3 years at a time. The owner has advised that livestock has been present on the property for several years and would like to continue to be permitted to do so. The quantity and type of livestock varies, but always remains below 3 nutrient units or less. Currently, the livestock present on the property equates to 1.56 nutrient units. In accordance with the MDS document created by OMAFRA, the fewest number of nutrient units used in calculating MDS1 setbacks is 5, even if the actual design capacity is fewer. MDS1 for both Type A and Type B land uses are met for up to 5 nutrient units on the subject lands. As noted, this bylaw extension would permit a maximum of 3 nutrient units. ABCA, the County of Middlesex engineer, the North Middlesex CDO, and the North Middlesex Director of Infrastructure and Operations have no concerns with the application, and no comments from the public were submitted prior to the submission of this report. Staff are of the opinion that the proposed application is considered to be appropriate as it is consistent with the provincial policy statement, is in conformity with the County of Middlesex and North Middlesex official plan, and any future extensions would be required to come back before council for their consideration. And I am here if you have any questions.
Thank you, Ashley. Krista, is there something you'd like to add?
I don't think so, unless anyone has any questions for me to answer.
Okay. Once again, I'll ask the public, is there any comments from the public on this application? Seeing none. Questions from council? No questions? Move to support by Councillor Keogh, seconded by Councillor Nerda. All in favor? Carried. All right, Krista.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Our next item is notice of public meeting to consider application ZBA-06-2024 located at 2242 Elm Tree Drive, 31260 Hastet Road. And that's okay. I don't believe we're expecting the applicants, so go ahead, Ashley.
Thank you. So the purpose and effect of this application is to renew the existing temporary use zoning bylaw on the subject property to continue to allow a second residential dwelling, which is a mobile trailer that's approximately 896 square feet in size, for the purpose of boarding seasonal farm laborers for an additional 3-year period. The temporary use currently exists and no new buildings are proposed to accommodate this extension request. The lands are approximately 100 acres in size and have an existing single detached dwelling, second residential dwelling for seasonal farm laborers, a pool, a wind turbine, barns, and a number of agricultural outbuildings. The second dwelling is currently accessed via Hasket Road on a portion of the property that is dissected by a natural watercourse. The owner has indicated that the existing location of the dwelling enables them to continue to maximize operational efficiency and tillable land for the purpose of cash cropping. ABCA, the County of Middlesex engineer, the North Middlesex CDO, and Director of Infrastructure and Operations have no concerns with the application. No comments from the public were submitted prior to the submission of this report, and staff are of the opinion that the proposed application is considered to be appropriate as it is consistent with the provincial policy statement, the County of Middlesex official plan, and the North Middlesex official plan. As with the last temporary use extension, any future extensions would be required to come back before council for their consideration.
Thank you, Ashley. Once again, I'll ask any comments from the public on this. Seeing none. Comments from council? Questions? Councillor Nelson?
Thank you, Mayor Rob. I have a question. This is the second time that we're renewing this, is my recollection. And to me, this is a good example of, something that should be longer term. Is there any opportunity or do we see anything coming where this can be longer term than 3 years rather than the applicant having to come back so frequently?
I may let our policy planner comment on that.
Yeah, thank you. So the Planning Act does provide for a 20-year time period for garden suites and granny flats. So if a proposed use meets that definition, that's certainly something we can consider and is also something that is kind of on the list for the official plan review, so that that policy direction is within North Middlesex's official plan, so that we can establish these uses for a period.
Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to that. However, to add on to that, I see that this is currently a mobile home. If it's to be 20 years, would that then have to be a permanent structure?
No, it can be a mobile home.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Any other questions? Moved by Councillor Knellison, seconded by Councillor Keo. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Ashley. Our next item is public meeting for drainage. Meeting, consider the Middlesex and tap drains. Are you coming up, Joanne? This one does? So we do have to delay this, Joanne. It is scheduled for 6:40. So we'll have to delay this and maybe we can move to our first department report. We got to come out of public to do it, but moves to come out of a public. Councillor Keo, Councillor Daigle, all in favor? All right, so we'll start with our first department report, and that is the Lurie Road Plan of Subdivision. Abby, this will be yours.
Thank you, Your Honor. So the purpose of this report is to provide council with a recommendation on an application for a plan of subdivision for the subject lands legally described as part of Lot 15, Concession 17 in the hamlet of Lurie. So the purpose and effect of the draft plan of subdivision is to create 7 lots for single detached dwellings, which would be accessed from a Sauble Drive and Lurie Road. The subject lands are a 6.7 hectare parcel located on the northwest corner of a Sauble Drive and Lurie Road within the hamlet of Lurie. The lands are vacant of any buildings and structures. The subject lands are designated hamlet settlement area within the North Middlesex official plan and are zoned hamlet residential within the North Middlesex zoning bylaw. So my report provides a background on applicable provincial, county, and local policy, which generally directs new residential development to existing settlement areas where full or partial municipal services are available. The policy documents encourage a wide variety of housing by type, size, and tenure. So in terms of public consultation, notice of the public meeting was circulated to residents living within 120 meters of the subject lands, as well as agencies on January 17th, 2024, in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act. The public meeting was held on February 7th, 2024. There were 2 members of the public who provided verbal comments at the public meeting, and 2 written submissions were received as part of the circulation process prior to that meeting. So in summary, the comments received expressed general concern with regards to the drainage works required to facilitate the development, as well as the general lot fabric of the hamlet of Lurie, as well as concerns relating to lighting on new homes and outbuildings. So generally, staff would just note that there is a condition of draft plan approval that requires that all costs associated with drainage works will be at the expense of the applicant. For council's information. No additional agency comments were received since the information report was presented to council. So in terms of an analysis here, the PPS, County of Middlesex official plan, and North Middlesex official plan all encourage development within settlement area boundaries on full or partial services. Where full services are not available, the subject lands are located within the hamlet of Lurie and are partially serviced by municipal water. The lands are designated hamlet settlement area by the North Middlesex plan and zoned hamlet residential, and are generally intended for residential development. Staff are of the opinion that the development is proposed to be located adjacent to the existing built-up area, and the proposed lot sizes are appropriate for partial services to accommodate private septic systems. The policy documents encourage municipalities to have a variety of housing types in order to accommodate housing needs of current and future residents. Staff are of the opinion that the proposal constitutes infilling and would round out development to the existing hamlet boundary. Further, staff have reviewed the residential density and locational requirements of the North Middlesex official plan and are of the opinion that the proposal overall maintains an appropriate level of density, and the proposed lot fabric would be similar to the existing residential lots within the hamlet. Conditions of approval are proposed, which include ways to address several of the comments received through the agency circulation. Additionally, engineering requirements have been generalized but are included as draft plan conditions. Based on the above analysis, staff are in a position to recommend support for the proposed draft plan application with conditions of approval, as the proposal is considered to be consistent with the PPS and in conformity with the county and North Middlesex official plans and zoning bylaw. It is therefore my recommendation, Your Honor, that plan of subdivision application 39T and M 2303 and draft plan conditions be endorsed and forwarded to the County of Middlesex for consideration and approval. Thank you.
Thanks, Abby. Any questions on this? No questions. We have a recommendation. Councilor Nerda? Councilor Daigle? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. I think we need to go to our next report as well. Yeah, and that is for report from the planner 39T NM CDM 2401 plan of condominium exemption. And I think we are looking for Connor Wilkes from Dillon's on this as well, right? He's observing, but he's there, so we can start. Okay. Abby, I believe this is yours too.
It is. Thank you. So the purpose of this report is to provide council with a recommendation regarding the requested condominium exemption request for a medium density residential development consisting of 22 townhomes for the property legally described as Part 7 of Reference Plan 33R-21722, adjacent to Phase 1 of the Asable Bluffs Plan of Subdivision. Through the provisions of the Planning Act and Condominium Act, the applicant has requested exemption from the requirement to submit a Planning Act application for approval of a draft plan of condominium and proceed directly to final approval of the site plan where appropriate. The subject lands are located on the south side of William Street East, directly across from Craigwheel Gardens within the urban settlement area of Elsa. The subject lands are 1.10 hectares in size and are currently vacant of buildings or structures. The condominium will be on full municipal water and sanitary sewer services and accessed by way of Pottsma Crescent through blanket easements to be established through amendments to the existing subdivision agreement for the adjacent Asable Bluffs subdivision, and through language incorporated into the vacant land of condominium agreement that will be executed for this property. So several public meetings have been held as a result of various planning applications for this site, more specifically application for zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 16-2021, which was on September 1st, 2021, application for minor variance MV5 2023, which was December 6th, 2023, and application for plan of subdivision 39T NM 2101, which was also on September 1st. 2021. So in terms of policy and regulation, the Condominium Act contains provisions within Section 9 to authorize the approval authority, being the County of Middlesex in this case, to grant exemption from the full Planning Act approval process for a plan of condominium contained in Section 51 of the Planning Act where appropriate. An exemption would be appropriate in circumstances where there would be no benefit from requiring the applicant to undertake further approval and where there are no onerous conditions that are normally found within a draft approved plan of subdivision agreement or site plan agreement. Through this process, detailed site design would be addressed as part of the site plan approval, and a development agreement would be executed for the proposed development. As this application does not require circulation to agencies or stakeholders, the county seeks the advice of the municipality. If the municipality supports the requested exemption through resolution, the request will then be considered by county council to provide a decision on the exemption request. So the request for exemption from Planning Act approval for a plan of condominium can be considered appropriate where proposals have previously undergone a complete evaluation, generally comply with the zoning bylaw, and where no further conditions of approval are required by the municipality or any agencies. The applicant requested an exemption from draft plan of condominium for development of the subject property as the medium density residential development has been considered during the rezoning and site plan review processes, as noted above. Planning staff are satisfied that an exemption is appropriate for the development of the subject lands. And in circumstances such as this, where there would be no benefit from requiring the applicant to undertake further approvals under the Planning Act. It should be noted that at the time of writing this report, the development agreement, which in this case will be a vacant land condominium agreement, is not yet registered, but it is anticipated that this will occur shortly. Consideration of the exemption at this time allows the two processes to move forward concurrently, and if for any reason the VLC agreement is not finalized to the satisfaction of the municipality, the county would not sign the final plan. So based on the foregoing, planning staff recommend that council pass a resolution showing support of the exemption from draft plan of condominium approval for the subject land, and that it be forwarded for consideration by Middlesex County Council. Thank you.
Thanks, Abby. Any questions from council on this application? No questions? We have a recommendation in front of us. Deputy Mayor Hodgins, Councilor Irwin, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. I think we do have to do one more report yet, and that is a report from Director of Corporate Services, Clerk. Sorry, I had to say that. RFP pound keeping contract for the 2024 award. Go ahead, Ashley.
Thank you, Your Worship. I know it's a new title. But, okay, the report before you is the outcome of our RFP that we put out for the pound keeping award for the period of March 6, 2024 to March 6, 2025. Staff are recommending that we would go with a contract to Animal Care Center Lobo for that said period. Some of you might recognize this as Animal Care Center Lobo was our previous pound keeper prior to our most recent. Our most recent was our provider for the past 3 years, and Animal Care Center Lobo was prior to them. The reason for them stopping was because of a changeover in hands in management and uncertainty with new provincial legislation that spoke to within. We're requesting that this be a 1-year contract to try out the service provider. Within the proposal, we spoke to emergency veterinary care, capacity for receiving dogs on an on-call basis, assistance with adoptions, and any anticipated fees and charges. The fees and charges are relatively consistent with the scope of the previous provider's charges. The only differences that you will see are the vaccination after 72-hour hold, as well as having a monthly fee rather than an annual retainer. Yeah, so we're looking for approval to go with this contract, as well as it would be considered in the operating budget proposal for 2024. Thanks.
Questions? Councilor Cornelison.
Thank you, Mayor Rob. Ashley, my question for you is, like, I understand the monthly fee of $11.30, but are those other fees in addition to that?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. So the annual retainer was basically, as I understand, the provider calculated what it would be for them to have a kennel open full year round so that we could have that space provided to us when we need it. The other fees are based circumstantially on when a dog would be received by them or been picked up by them. And those fees, other than the monthly fee and the admin cost fees from us, would be then billed back to the owner of the dog upon pickup. And if the dog was not picked up after that 72-hour hold, then the municipality would incur the costs within the time frame from 72 hours to adoption.
but Animal Care Center Lobo is like an adoption specialist as well. So that would be an increased service to our residents.
What the length of time do they hold the animal before they euthanize it?
Thank you, and through your worship, we had come across this in our previous contract, and we generally like to work with the pound keeper to avoid that situation. However, noting that the costs are incurred by the municipality, we decided on a 2-week time period.
Thank you.
Other questions? No other questions. Oh, Councillor Irwin?
Yes, Your Worship. I'm just curious, from our previous contractor, how many dogs did we actually pick up in previous years? How?
Thank you, through your worship. So at the beginning of the previous pound keeper's contract, it was an inconsistent amount, but with the use of social media, I think we have seen an increased demand for this service in especially our area. With the use of social media and all that, people are recognizing when the dogs get out, they know where to bring them. So I think we saw an average 12 dogs and we adopted out 3. Oh, sorry. No, for the total year. Yeah.
Other questions? We have no other questions. We have a recommendation in front of us. Moved by Councillor Daigle, seconded by Councillor Nerda. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. I think at this time I'd look for a motion to go back into public meeting. Councillor Nerda, Councillor Daigle, all in favor? Carried. And we'll try this once again. Joanne will. And this is for the meeting to consider the McKeelson and tap drains. Whenever you're ready.
All right. I'm Josh Warner of Dobbin Engineering. I prepared McKeelson and tap drain report. It was prepared under Section 78 of the Drainage Act. The report proposes the replacement of the tile drains originally installed in 1962 with a tile drain to a larger drainage coefficient and increased depth. The total length of the tile to be installed is approximately 1,190 meters, complete with 1 road crossing and 3 catch basins. The total estimated cost for the project is $202,900. The report also includes a detailed breakdown of the allowances, assessments, provisions for maintenance, working areas, drawings, and specifications. At this time, I'm available for any comments or questions from the landowners.
All right, thank you. Any questions, public from the landowners on this application? Nothing here? Okay, questions from council? No questions? We have a recommendation in front of us. Moved by Councillor Keogh, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hodgins. In favor? Carried. Thank you. And then the next is the meeting to consider the Van Art drain number 2.
Thank you. Through the chair, the Van Art drain number 2 report has been prepared under Section 4 of the Drainage Act. The report proposes the installation of 286 meters of tile drain, 1 road crossing, and 2 catch basins in order to provide an outlet for subsurface waters generated on the property at the southeast corner of Center Road and Elm Tree Drive. Total estimated cost for the project is $72,184. And again, I'm available for any questions or comments from landowners or council.
All right, thank you. Any questions, any comments from landowners on this one? Seeing none. Questions from council? I do have one. Is this offhand, is this on the East Williams side of that? West East Williams side, right? Okay, thank you. No other questions? Councilor Pinellison.
Thank you, Mayor Rob. I find it interesting that the municipality is always paying a significant amount for road drainage. What's the reason for that?
Yep. So under Section 26 of the Drainage Act, roads and utilities pay any increased cost as a result of the existence of the roads or utilities. So when there's a road crossing, the municipality or the owner of the road ends up paying for all that cost to get across the road.
So that's the installation of a culvert or any directional drilling, that type of thing?
That's right, and that's in addition to the regular assessments for outlet and benefit to the road authority. Yeah, so basically all the installation under the road is assessed back to the road.
Okay.
Okay, okay. Oh, all right. Yeah. Any other questions on this? Okay, seeing no other questions, we have a recommended motion. Counselor Keel, Counselor Daigle, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thanks. Need a motion to go back into a regular council meeting. Counselor Irwin, Deputy Mayor Hodgins, all in favor? Carried. And our first report back is from the CAO, and that is asset management contract.
Thank you, Worship. Council will recall during the budget presentation, there was call for the provision of professional services to look at our asset management plan and to support meeting the timelines outlined by the province. Due to the provincial timelines coming up so quickly and the provision of funding being tied to the update of our asset management plan, it is the recommendation today that we move ahead with bringing Citywide on board as quickly as possible so that we can meet those timelines and continue with our funding applications that are needed so desperately for some of our sewer and water projects. So that is what's before you today.
Questions? No questions? Counselor Daigle? Oh, okay, question.
And I see that you make reference to Citywide and saying, based on the fact that they've worked with the municipality in the past, that they're the best suited. Are they the most skilled as well, or in terms of, do they have the capacity to do a good job?
Yes, I mean, certainly we've met with them. They were the ones that worked on our asset management plan before. They can hit the ground running. They're very capable and skilled in this type of work, and they're the best ones to do the job for us.
So we were satisfied with the previous effort.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
And we do have some portions here where we're under to meet the mandates, we need to be in by July, correct?
The first deadline is for us is July the 1st. And it's going to be tough to meet, but that's what we're going to be heading for first. And then there's other deadlines following that.
All right, thank you.
For its various aspects of the plan as you go forward.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, we have a motion. Counselor Daigle, Deputy Mayor Hodgins, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. And now the passing of accounts. Do we have Estelle there?
Can you hear me?
Good evening, Estelle.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you.
Is
Okay.
that all the voice you have? If it is, then
That's all. I'm sorry. That's all the voice
All
I
right.
have.
all right, payment of accounts.
So the report in front of you outlines the municipality's expenses for the period of February 16th through to March 1st, totaling $1,132,838.59. I did receive one question in regards to the payments, and it is the payment to All Seasons of $20,170. And the question is this for the entire winter for all municipal sites? It is for the month of January, and it is for all municipal sites, including the Park Hill Medical Center, the Arena, the North Middlesex Community Center, the Shared Services Center, West Williams Hall, North Middlesex Fire Hall and EMS, the Elsa Craig Reg Center, and the Elsa Craig Library. I now open the floor to any other questions.
Any other questions? Seeing none? No other questions? We need a motion to accept this report for information. Counselor Nerda? Counselor Keel, all in favor? Carried. Thanks, Estelle.
Thank you.
Committee reports. ABCA?
As you may have noticed, we received an invitation to attend the partner appreciation dinner for Salvo Bayfield. I've not attended in the past. I don't know if you did. Can you remember the board? But there are the invitations there, so if anyone's interested, then please let them know that you will be attending.
Okay, any questions for ABCA? No. Blue water recycling? Anything
Just- Just what is on the screen here, the
Okay.
board of directors.
Any questions for blue water recycling? Seeing none, EDAC?
Just the minutes that are posted from our December meeting.
Okay, any questions for economic development? Councillor Irwin?
Not a question, but I'd like
Okay.
to thank everyone who participated on behalf of the chair who couldn't make it because of work commitments for Innovation and Agriculture event. Well organized. I think we had over 50, so a good turnout for the first time for an event. Number of members of council were there, and certainly like to thank staff for all their effort in putting on the event.
Agreed. It was well done. And I think staff an extra good job on having those students there in the morning from the high school and the ag students. And they heard a couple of really good speakers. And so I just commend for that. I agreed. Anything else for economic development? Seeing nothing, local school advisory? Okay.
Sorry, Your Worship, were we supposed to vote, approve the minutes of?
Yeah, I figure we'll approve at the end of. the
Oh,
committees. I'll
okay,
approve
sorry,
the
Your
minutes.
Worship.
We'll do it under one.
Just that our plan is to bring forward our draft presentation that we're going to take to Thames Valley District School Board later in April, to the April 6th meeting of council, for council to look at prior to it going forward to the planning group at the school board.
All right, rec committee?
We had to move the meeting, so it's upcoming yet.
Okay. Policy review committee. I know that we don't have the meeting plan, but we do have some policies coming from the fire committee to go to the policy committee. So, fire committee,
Certainly. Would you like an update, or would you like prefer to wait for the minutes of next council meeting?
whatever you wish. You're the chair, sir.
Okay, then let's do that. Okay. So they had 31 events, 2 fires, 8 medical, 5 collisions, and 5 CAOs, 1 mutual aid, 1 grass fire, and 1 false alarm. So they did review our staffing situation for the fire department. They are no longer volunteers. They are now part-time employees. Okay, so that'll be taken into consideration. And that's about the gist of it. I think we have a number of policies that are being referred to the policy committee for final approval. And that's it. Anything else that we should add? Councilor Daigle?
Any questions for the chair? He's on a roll.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
You got a compliment. Okay, sorry. Budget committee, we're meeting Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, and I believe they're all at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. Okay. Committee development fund. Aqua, the client advisory board. Anything on that? Nothing on that. Okay, we need a motion to accept the minutes from the committees. Councillor Daigle, Deputy Mayor Hodgins, all in favor? Carried. Next is correspondence. A letter from the Elks Craig Village Association. Stephen File. London, Middlesex London Health Unit meeting summary. Comprehensive environmental assessment project regulation letter. Receive and file. Coleman Township Conservation Officer reclassification. Receive and file. North Middlesex yearbook proposal. I don't know. Are you making that a motion to support them?
Yes, I'm Mayor.
At what level?
There's have to. How much? $2,000. Mayor.
I'm sorry. I was just, you caught me by surprise when you were doing that. So are you seconding it? Is there discussion on that? Councilor Nerda.
So I would like to support it, but
the Vibrancy Fund did have the deadline of November 30th. And I just think it would be, I think it is a great ask, but there are rules, November 30th. And I think if we're talking about consistency among all avenues, I think that they should apply for next year. And at that time, we'll consider their application.
One comment I would make, we have in the past given money after the fact for certain things that have come up later. But no, I appreciate what you're saying, and you're right. I think if council should choose to support it, I think that we should certainly go with a letter saying that we have a process to follow, and that, you know, to do it another year, if this is what council decides, to do it another year, to put it in through that process. Okay, Councillor Cornelison.
Just to make a comment on Councillor Nerdo's opinion, and I respect your opinion, I think she's absolutely right, because we had the discussion in a committee at the time. However, we also want to support our school system, and I think this is an opportune opportunity to support that school and the students who attend there.
Okay, Councillor Daigle.
As a seconder on the motion, I'd also like to see the letter go forward that they are notified as part of our motion.
Okay. Councillor Irwin.
Thank you, Your Worship. And just as a reminder for all of council, we did make a motion and approve it at our last meeting that we would review the whole Vibrancy Fund, Community Fund process in April in terms of ongoing contributions, special contributions, etc. I suspect this should be part of that review at that time, Your Worship.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other comments on this? We have a motion and it's been seconded for the $2,000 to approve that, in plus the letter to go out for another year. In favor of that? In favor? Opposed? Abstained? Okay. That is carried, so we're going to give the $2,000. Our next one is the Royal Canadian Legion Ontario Command Military Service Recognition Book. I would make a comment that we have supported this in the past. Councillor Keel.
That's all I wanted to know was we have supported it in the past.
This is the one we have supported with them.
That's been annually, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Councillor Nerda.
What's the cost? Do we know what the cost is from previous years?
Yes, it's in the report. I don't have the report in front of me right now. I think it is. It's right in around that $500 mark. That's okay. So, but this is the one we have supported in the past, and I know our Legion is very active with their banners and, you know, with that stuff. Councillor Nerda, you're making a motion to support that?
Your Worship, do you want to just continue with the same donation we provided in previous years?
Yes. If I mean, there might be a 2% increase or something, but yeah, the same type of. So we have a motion by Councillor Nerda, seconded by Councillor Daigle. In favor? Carried. Perfect. Thank you. Other and urgent business. Other business? Councillor Keel.
Thanks. It's actually more of a concern, and I've noticed it up here at the traffic light. So the south end of Main Street, Park Hill, where the top coat of the asphalt is deteriorating. Is that being addressed with a contractor? Because it's getting worse by the day.
Yeah, through you, Your Worship. We are monitoring that. It is county road, so it's their responsibility. We are aware of it, and we've spoken with the contractor about it, and they have plans to fix it at their cost once the asphalt plant reopens. But I know it is being monitored, and if something has to be done in the interim, that will be done.
Okay. Any other business? I do have one. I don't know if you have seen it posted, but our school board trustee has sent it forward that we have a North Middlesex student, young lady who has been appointed to the school board. as a youth trustee, Indigenous youth trustee, and she's here from the North Middlesex School. I'm hoping that we can recognize that later on, but I just didn't know if everybody was aware of that. But I thought that was a real good news story. If there's no other business, we'll move on to deferred items. And I think we go all the way down to 13.5. Is that right? Yeah. And we have Estelle,
Yes, thank you.
and
Your
that is
worship.
the budget limitation for the shared police services.
Thank
ahead,
you, Your
Estelle.
worship. I would just like to inform
Just
council.
give us a second, Estelle. We got to turn up the volume.
I'm sorry.
No, we're doing it here. There, try that.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, that's good.
My apologies. So I just want to confirm with members of council that I have modified the budget, 2024 proposed budget to include $15,000 line item for the police services shared committee.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions on that? Councillor Tannelson?
Is that the committee that Deputy Mayor Hodges will be on?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I thought it was.
Okay. All right, so that'll be up for discussion or whatever on next week, the budget deliberation. And the other item was the Community Development Fund Hospital Contribution Link.
Thank you, Your Worship. I did look up the agreement with Bornish Wind Farms, and the municipality is committed for a 10-year contribution of $40,000 to the hospital from 2017, and the last one being in 2026.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Any questions for Estelle on that? All right, thank you, Estelle.
Thank you.
Communication, including county council. I don't really have one right now. There isn't. Councillor Tannelson.
Thank you, Mayor Rupp. I do have a question for you.
Yep.
Is it possible to share with us what the county budget increase will be this year? What the levy increase is for us?
It hasn't gone to council yet. It's just going to council. It's gone just to the committee to put through to the council. So I hesitate a little bit to share it at this point since county council hasn't seen it. But it isn't a zero.
Well, I didn't think it would be zero, but you're hesitant. The fact that you're hesitating tells me it's substantial.
Well, it depends what you call substantial. I think honestly, there was a lot of work done. There was a lot of meetings for this. And I think, as you know, it started very high. It started over 24%. So I think it's pretty small compared to that. It is in single digits, I'll say that. But I hate to say too much until county council gets a chance.
But my final question, will it have an impact on our budget?
Well, not on our budget so much. It's just on our taxpayers. There's an impact.
It will have an impact on the ratepayers.
Yes. Yeah, on their portion of, right? And that's the part that it doesn't mean their taxes are going up if it's 5%, say. It doesn't mean their taxes are going up 5%. That portion is correct, that county portion. But yeah, there is an impact. And the counties around, if you've seen some of the counties around and their budgets and the size of the increases, they're pretty substantial at the county level, it seems. But I think really there's change in thinking, I think, at the county to get for the future.
And I guess my final comment would be, because it has a significant impact on the county budget, is with the news that we received yesterday, I believe it was, that the offload delays at the hospital has decreased by 70%. Will that have an impact on the land ambulance budget?
Isn't that great news? Like,
Yeah,
honestly,
that's my question.
So I will tell you that I had the last meeting I was at MLPS. That was the news that came out. But can they sustain it? I think that's what we're waiting to see, whether it is sustained or not. We're hoping so. We're certainly hoping so. But I know I heard them say that with the time frame they had, but there are still exceptions to some of those time frames. But yeah, it certainly will have an impact going forward. It should lessen some of the impact on extra staffing and all of the rest of that stuff. But it is a guarded optimism right now, to wait and see and let it have a longer process. Hope it keeps that way.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the county? If not, reading of the bylaws.
Thank you. Tonight, we're looking for first and second reading of bylaws 16 to 23 of 2024.
Counselor Daigle? Counselor Keel, all in favor? Carried.
And then third and final for 18 to 23.
Deputy Mayor Hodgins, Counselor Canellison? Did I see a flinch? I did. All in favor? Carried. We just have one more, and that's to adjourn. Counselor Nerda and Counselor Keel, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, everyone.